Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. There's something from the second season of Andor that still bothers me quite a lot. It's the scene where Mon Mothma is giving her riling speech to the Galactic Senate after the Gorman massacre. This is her Aldhani raid. This is her coming out party. She can no longer hold her tongue. She needs to speak the truth on the largest galactic stage. You can criticize Mon for a lot of things, like she is politically kind of naive. She has a troubled relationship with her husband and her daughter. I mean, she basically married away Lyta to a loan shark to save her own skin. But when it comes to her ability to talk policy and make it relatable to the average citizen, well, there's really no one else that's better than her at this. And she's been doing this for almost her entire life.
I've spent my life in this chamber. I came here as a child.
Hey.
And as I look around me now, I realize I have almost no memories that predate my arrival.
I know politicians get a bad rap, especially in today's world and political climate where it seems like all of the big problems are not being solved. It's easy to point our fingers at the entire profession as being the source of all of the problems in modern day society. It's easy to say that all politicians are corrupt or just malicious individuals. But the truth is, politics, humans coming together and exchanging ideas, debating ideas, it's always been a really messy thing, but it has always been a key part to human society and human culture. We are a social species. Then if you add in the modern media landscape of influencers and social media, and things get even more chaotic and confusing in the political world. But Winston Churchill actually has a very clear-eyed quote about this dynamic that all, democracies kind of go through. It has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except all those other forms that have tried from time to time. Pluralism, debate, and exchange of ideas, this is how humanity has always achieved its greatest moments, its greatest advances in technology, culture, from splitting the atom to creating the Tamagotchi handheld personal pet. When people get together, remove their ego, remove their emotions, and focus on figuring out the truth, humanity is at its finest. And I think Mon Mothma really supports this idea of power sharing. If I were to guess what her political alignment is, I would say that she's probably a liberal of some type, maybe a classical liberal or a liberal constitutionalist. What makes her such an outstanding example of this ideology is her deep and unshakable moral foundation, which definitely leads to her practicing what she preaches. She has this belief that all sentient beings have natural rights. She believes that the federal government's job is to protect and not grant those rights. And most importantly, the real purpose of classical liberalism, which is a complete rejection and opposition to tyranny.
What happened yesterday on Gorman was unprovoked genocide. And the monster screaming the loudest, the monster Eve helped create, the monster who will come for us all soon enough, is Emperor Palpatine.
When you meet politicians in real life, the higher up you go, the more impressive the individual is. Local aldermans are hit or miss. Some of them are really charismatic, but a lot of them are just like you and me. They're not really well put together. They're not media trained nearly as well as people in higher levels of office. Like once you get to the state level, things get really professional. And then when you get to the federal level, these guys are wearing $1,000 suits. They have TV level makeup on their faces, and their charisma is at the same level as a Hollywood actor. I would argue that these people are even better at speaking offhand about, various topics, because that is exactly what they do. So, this is a very kind of weaponized profession if you're not familiar with it. Mon Mothma is not a state level or even federal level politician. Well, she is a federal level politician, but she is more importantly a galactic level politician, which in theory should make her even more impressive. She could be representing trillions of souls as far as we know. The Trandrilla sector is quite large. And as an audience, we definitely feel Mon Mothma's presence. It's not just her outfit, her beautifully done hair, it's the grace and performance of Genevieve O'Reilly. She has natural class, which comes from consciousness and discipline, and it really can't be feigned. It's a classic political trick, one that Mon Mothma is not above using. Because remember, Mon Mothma is a political animal. She always prefers using diplomacy over force or violence or anything else like that. This is one of her biggest disagreements with Luthen, and joining the rebellion and openly defying the Empire was really a last resort for her. She didn't want to do this. She still wanted to believe in the system. And so when she begins to suspect that her driver, Exmar Kloris, is an ISB plant, she doesn't actually take direct action to neutralize him. She doesn't become cold or hostile towards him. Instead, she just is super professional with him and, treats him like a human being.
Driver's here.
Kloris.
Yes.
You know his name?
This isn't Mon Mothma trying to virtue signal. It's not even her trying to form a good relationship with the ISB officer telling her so that, she encounters less trouble from him. I think Mon is just a genuinely kind and polite person, and this is how she treats people. At the same time, she is aware that she is a representative of her political beliefs, and she chooses to be perfect while everyone is watching, especially her ISB minder, because there are definitely advantages to this. Unfortunately for her husband and her daughter are kind of cynical about this side of her. It's really sad.
You're only doing it to show off.
What?
Just go.
What would I be showing off?
You're involved somehow.
Alright, sweetheart, that woman carried you in her body for 9 months. You can do better. And let's be honest with ourselves, Mon isn't Mom anymore. She belongs to the rebellion. And yes, it sucks for Perrin and Lyta, but these are the sacrifices that Mon Mothma has to make. And this is the problem with this kind of image Mon Mothma is trying to maintain. Behind that shiny veneer, her family is falling apart. But I think the illusion of who she is actually does work for one person, and that is Exmar Kloris. Kloris is a relatively simple character. He doesn't really talk much, which makes sense. He's a driver.
May I show you something?
Oh, don't bother. I couldn't afford anything here.
Please. There's no harm in looking. We just got in some terribly interesting coins.
Yeah?
Spoken like a humble working-class individual who is painfully aware of the income gap between him and his employer. Interesting thing is the next time he comes to Luthen's shop, he doesn't even come in, so he can observe Mon's conversation with the rebel spy. It seems like Kloris isn't actually a very well-trained spy or ISB asset at all. It's either that or he's just kind of lazy. And the Axis network actually concurs.
Are you planning to go to the office today?
Eventually. It's lovely out. I'm sure we'll walk.
It's just they're asking for schedules this week. Parking and movement.
Who's asking?
Senate security.
Oh, ridiculous. I'll speak to them. Thank you.
I almost get a sense that Mon and Erskine are like encouraging Kloris to spy on them. Like, you can do it. You can spy on Mon. Like, we believe in you. That's how little concern Mon Mothma has, for this individual. She's kind of just playing him.
I'm requesting a new driver.
Don't. They might send someone smart.
I actually don't think Kloris is like a complete idiot. He might be a little simple-minded, but is it really his fault? It's very clear to me he's not trained to be a spy. He's trained to be a driver first and foremost. A lot of people assume that the ISB planted a spy as a driver for Mon Mothma, where they could easily have just taken a driver that was in the pool and turned him into a spy. It's a lot cheaper probably to do that. And this fits in with this idea that Mon Mothma is not really a dangerous politician. Like, she openly challenges Palpatine, but everyone knows that she's like not able to do anything. She's almost like controlled opposition in a way. And so yeah, it makes sense that they would assign someone like Kloris, who isn't exactly a high-level, intelligence agent onto her. Overall, this entire operation to spy on Mon is just like not well run. I mean, mostly what Kloris picks up seems to be just Mon and Perrin bickering back and forth about his gambling.
It's a lie. It's total fantasy. Who's telling you this?
Please.
No, I'm serious.
Perrin, please.
Who's saying this?
Just don't.
We'll go back there right now. We'll put it to them.
We will not. I've been shamed enough for one night.
Useless information. Well, actually far from useless. Mon Mothma is like literally implanting this information into Supervisor Blevins' mind to hide Mon Mothma's actual activities. They're not having money issues because Perrin's gambling. It's because Mon Mothma is funneling money into like rebel organizations, mostly for weapons, I'm guessing. But take a close look at the end of the season where Kloris reports to Blevin about what's happening with the gambling. Look at how the camera just kind of lingers on Kloris. It's kind of a weird shot. Like, why are we staring at him for so long? Why is he staring at Blevin's back as he leaves? Are we supposed to interpret this as Kloris is starting to question things a little bit more? Mon Mothma, you have to give credit to. She used her natural charisma and also actively misled Kloris into thinking that she isn't a threat. Maybe he's even become a bit sympathetic towards her plight. She's always treated Kloris with respect and care, which isn't always the case in a driver-passenger relationship. The moment that really makes me believe that Kloris is starting to doubt, his role in this operation is when Mon Mothma is giving her speech and, Kloris is listening in the car.
The loss of an objective reality is perhaps the most dangerous. The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil.
The turn of the head, like he's finally awake and listening, the opening of the mouth. It's very possible that Kloris is panicking right now because the person he was supposed to watch is committing treason and he doesn't want to die. But then again, a politician's strength is their voice. It's their ability to make a passionate plea to their constituents, and there are very few individuals in the Senate that can carry themselves with such grace and dignity, talk so passionately about universal truths, like the one she's talking about right in this scene, that even the Emperor up until this point was afraid of locking her up. I wouldn't be surprised if Kloris was moved. We give monologues, we give speeches when we finally collected our thoughts and formed a good idea that we want to share with others. And in a series that is just completely full of amazing monologues, they bring value not only to the audience, but also to the characters on screen. Perrin at the wedding gave an epic speech about hedonism, but at its heart, his portrayal of happiness and joy delivers a very nostalgic moment for Luthen, who probably needed to be reminded of what he's fighting for, a future for his daughter Clea and all the happiness that she deserves. Then we have Luthen's amazing speech to Lonnie, which fortifies the ISB supervisor and allows him to have the courage to pursue the ultimate intel leak in galactic history. Mon's speech about the death of truth is an easy to understand concept, and I mean, not only is Kloris kind of listening, a lot of people are listening, like those two techs who prevent the supervisor from shutting down the power so that Mon Mothma goes off air.
It's locked. Why is it locked?
It's supposed to be.
It hasn't been locked all year.
We know, we fixed it.
What?
We checked the protocol.
Open it.
You need the sequence key.
So let's have it.
We took it up to the security office yesterday.
There's also her allied senators who understand exactly what she's talking about. It's a very effective speech, very inflammatory indeed. I guess the question is whether it affected Kloris at the very end. After Young's agent is shot and killed by Cassian, Kloris is the last undercover operative still in play.
Stand by. I am standing by. I was just...
Call when you have something
yes,
to
of
report.
course. I was just making sure.
So his handler is literally ghosting him because there are clearly bigger issues they have to deal with. But the fact that Kloris called the ISB is a bit out of character. He really isn't the type to show initiative. Again, this could just be Kloris trying to cover his ass. And why do they cut away to him looking at his blaster? What does that mean? Is he going to act now? Is he going to try to arrest Mon? Is he going to try to help her?
What's going on up there?
I was showing you.
In the next scene, we see Kloris now outside of his car. He's standing up and he's even more agitated. Mon Mothma did a big no-no by calling out the Emperor. But what is Kloris' response? Is he actually starting to care about her employer? Is he starting to even maybe understand what she is fighting for? Sadly, we won't know. And, ironically, it's Mon who kind of seals Kloris' fate.
That's my driver.
Will he help?
No, he's an ISB plant.
What's his name?
What?
Name?
Kloris.
Kloris! Kloris!
What are you doing?
We found her! And who are you?
Who are you is probably one of the deadliest phrases in Andor. In Kloris' last moments, he doesn't seem to have a pistol in his hand. He does seem concerned about the stranger with Mon, maybe because he is trying to protect her. Now, I do admit, I tend to try to see the good in everyone because, we live in an extremely dark world. There's no reason to set yourself up for failure. But ultimately, what Kloris was thinking right before he dies probably doesn't matter that much in the grander scheme of things because his death was really in service to Cassian and Mon's character development. The biggest problem with classical liberals is arrogance, this naivete, this belief that the moral and ethical backings of, the liberal political system is enough to just make it work magically. It's not that liberalism is wrong. I truly believe that liberal democracies are the least worst form of governance. But liberalism generally arises in times of wealth, stability, and calm. The ideas championed by this political system are pretty intellectual and high up on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Oftentimes, liberals are seen rightfully as elitists. I mean, how else can you see someone like Mon Mothma with her crazy-ass apartment and extremely rich and luxurious lifestyle? This is always Mon's flaw. her inability to understand that sometimes in order to get things done, she needed to drop the holier-than-thou attitude. She needed to understand the cost of her defiance and look directly into the eyes of the people who would die because of her political choices. She sacrificed so much already for her family, her life on Coruscant, but life isn't always fair, and she will also have to sacrifice her pacifism. One day, Mon will oversee one of the most powerful military forces the galaxy has ever seen, an army truly of the people, by the people, from all corners of the galaxy, ready not only to live for the rebellion, but also to die for it. On her journey to accepting the sacred chair of leadership, this is one of the most important lessons Mon needs to learn. And so yeah, Take Homa had to die. The Gorman needed to die. And Exmar Kloris, just an ordinary man caught up in a crazy job in a crazy galaxy, needs to die.